Sure. My name is Celia Devereux, and
my name is Mary Oakley, and the Portarlington Coder Dojo is all really about upping the IT capabilities of our community by dealing and teaching with young people, so that it's a really preventative way of bringing skills into the community from a young age. So from the age of 6, our ninjas, that's what they call themselves, they actually start doing coding, apps, web development, anything they want really, and that's really what Coder Dojo is. It was started by a young guy from Cork a couple of years ago, James Welton I think his name was, and he realised, you know, like, there was a lot of children out there, a lot of young people out there that wanted to do this but didn't have an opening or a way of doing it.
And what success have you had to date? Is it a large organisation?
Yeah.
When did it start? That kind of thing?
Well, I suppose we started thinking about it in October 2012, and we had a meeting with Enterprise Ireland, and they were the ones that originally suggested that this was a very good way of promoting the IT skills. So we went and visited Coder Dojo and looked at a few others on the websites, and kind of made a plan and had all these different ideas. We put it up on Facebook once, and we got 20 likes and a number of people that came in immediately, and we just said, oh, pull down quick, because we're not ready, we don't have anything organised. So eventually we just decided, set a date and advertised it, opened doors, and mentors came in.
One mentor. Of course we was one mentor.
and I don't know how many
20
students the first day, yeah. And very much didn't know what we were doing or what it was all about at that stage, but just
didn't even know what we'd say.
Yeah.
And what are you very at now?
100,
yeah.
It works through an Eventbrite system, so that they know that they're coming for a 5-week term, and they book in and they come along that way. We have 5 different classes or courses.
We have JavaScript, we have Scratch, we have HTML. We're looking at doing a couple of other things, but we're also into projects. So you'd have the advanced and the starters for JavaScript and Scratch, and the mentors would actually prepare those every week. But they would give the children an idea, or the young people an idea of what was going to be happening, so they could maybe do something at home and then bring it in. And a lot of the time, because it's self-directed learning, they will give them the outcome and let them find their way to the solution, how to make it move or how to put the sound onto it, stuff like that. So it's very much, although the mentors organise it and so forth, it's very much driven by the needs and the wants, I suppose, of the young people.
Very good. Yes, and how did you start the group? How did you come about you mentioned that you were interested in Enterprise Ireland, kind of saw the idea in your head, but how did you go from the idea stage to actually getting bums on seats?
You just have to open the doors. You just have to set a date and a time, and then just, what happens is that people of like minds come together. So because they have an interest in IT, they actually will come forward, and they just, it's the same with sports, it's the same with any of those kind of community groups or organisations. If you have an interest in it, you go along to it, and it's something that you're hoping maybe your children...
Word of mouth, and kids tell. And we used Facebook, the Loveport Facebook page. We used the Loveport website, www.portarlington.ie, all of that type of media to get it out there. And children that are young people that are into coding and stuff, they are looking at the websites and stuff, and they'd share it with one another, and the kids were telling each other in school and so forth. So a lot of it was that, and grew each week. We kept outgrowing our premises.
Because we grew about 3 times. We were in Oriel House, went across to the community centre,
Sin nightclub,
which actually was a very good venue, but then they closed down, and then to the VCs.
The ETBI, the Laois Education Training Board, they then, thank God, gave us a school as such, so they were able to break it all down into the projects and into the different areas of interest for the young people, and it's much easier to organise, and car parking and all of those facilities, you know, like the projectors are already in the room, the whiteboards are in the room. It's so easy rather than trying to haul everything around. So we'll always be grateful to, you know, like Laois ETB, you know.
And on top of that then, just to mention Laois Partnership, once we got up and going and they saw our successes, they came in behind us with a grant as well. So that made a huge difference because we were able to train some of the other mentors, because the idea behind it as well is that some of the parents of the children were able then to, like they were helping their own children, but now they were able to get the skills that they needed to actually teach Scratch or teach one of the programs to another group of children. And often what happens is their own children move on to the next level of programming, and then the parents, you know, of those kids are helping.
And ribbed by real cool stuff. Arduino robotics, Raspberry
the helicopter,
that's what we're getting into now. Yeah. Plus, I suppose when you're talking about equipment, we went into a partnership approach with Camara, which are the group that provide laptops and like PCs and that to disadvantaged. And we have actually to date in Portarlington assisted the ninjas to purchase 54 laptops through the Camara, but at a very reasonable cost, and they do give us a lot of support.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it has made a huge difference, because it meant that the computers are coming in at $113 each, and that means that kids can actually afford to buy them, and they pay them off each week, and then at the end, you know, they have their own laptops, and that makes a big difference as well.
What kind of obstacles did you face, especially at the start? What kind of obstacles did you face at the start? How did you
really start? You had to code.
That was a huge obstacle, big obstacle.
We'll stop there again, we'll draw a line with that, we'll cut that part out. Right, go again. What obstacles did you find at the start, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
Yeah, I suppose the biggest, number one obstacle was neither of us have a technical, you know, like coding background, and we kept on wondering, you know, like, what's this all about? And should we start it? And I suppose Celia would tell you that her son was into that kind of years ago, nowhere to go.
There was very little at that stage for children that wanted to learn computers in general. It wasn't even just coding. It was even, you know, broader than that. So if children weren't interested in sports in the Midlands, you know, it was very difficult.
Sports and drama and everything, all of that. If that, golf, there's plenty of sporting. There wasn't anything for children who want to get into coding, making apps and so forth. And so we wanted to facilitate that, even if we didn't have a background or a technical background or anything like that. We certainly wanted to facilitate it. So that was us overcoming the first one. The second one was wondering, would we get anybody that could actually be technical?
And it had to be done on a voluntary basis, because there's no idea with Coder Dojo is that it's free. So it's free for children to attend, it's free for children, you know, and like that's a very difficult thing to get over, because I mean there's no money there then for any kind of, you know, small expenses that you need to, like even at some of the venues we needed to cover costs for caretakers and stuff, so who's going to pay for that? Because you can't differentiate one child from the next coming in, and you can't differentiate with laptops either, and we were able to buy a few laptops for the club as well that they could have use of, you know, so that there's no big deal if a child is coming along and they want to learn but they don't have the equipment. So,
and then the third, I suppose the third thing we overcame was finding a venue. We have that. And the fourth one was like how would we organise ourselves that we didn't actually have a group come together and then fall apart, because we couldn't start up something and then let it go.
So getting the structure right.
It was getting the structure right, because there was a lot of will and desire there, but how do we maintain it? So we looked at it and we think we've come up with a really good way of doing it, is that we work to each person's strengths. So we have a group of techie mentors. They're the guys who do the apps, the coding, the mentoring in the classroom. We've a group of admin mentors. They're the ones that like organising and doing the invites and Eventbrites and doing the lists and all of that. We have the financial mentors who take care of the money side of it and alert us to whether, you know, like if we need more money or what's happening with the money. And I suppose then there's Celia and I who are the ones with the hard necks. We don't have a problem asking people for money or stuff or you know, like getting in there.
It's really just knowing where to apply an awful lot of times, and the money has come. It has really flown in.
So, it has.
There's been a lot of
good. I think we got that. Yes. How do you manage the kids? How do you keep them interested? Do they get interested in the start? Do they get bored? All that kind of stuff. How do you?
There's a progression. There's different levels. What happens is, because there's about 5 different groups that come on a Saturday, so each of those are put into one of the groups, and you know that before the 5 weeks. and then you work for the 5 or 6 weeks of a term, and they do commit for that length of time. And then there have been kids that have just wanted to outgrow it and gone on to do different things, and that's fine because there's a waiting list of about 30 kids behind them, so there's always a fresh group coming in. Now what we are hoping that we're not really addressing the teenage years, the kind of 14 to 18-year-olds, and that's quite an important, area.
We have teenagers, but we want to really get in there and do something like having a hacker space.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're looking at trying to find an area and working with the ETB to provide us with a hacking space that they could get in, because we have a couple of young guys that are actually building their own laptops and stuff at the moment. So it's to get in and encourage all of that and to share that knowledge and skills with each other as well. And the teenagers, sometimes they feel like that, they don't want to be in with the younger ones. They're a bit cool for that. So that's one of the things that we have on our to-do list is to get into that.
What typically happens in class on any particular day?
There's no real typical day, I suppose, in that the mentors all come together, they organise and prepare what's going to happen. At the end of each 5-week term, there's a day or so when they get together and they plan what's going to happen, and they tie in with each other, because we'd have a person in each group that communicates with all of the others. So our techie person, chief, would be Mark, and he'd be checking in with Geraldine, who does the scratching, with Ken, who does Java, and so forth. And they're putting projects, and they put them up online as well. They share the resources with each other, because on the Facebook we have a mentors Facebook and we have the parents Facebook, all of that. So they share all of those resources online, and they know exactly what's going to be happening. But again, it's a lot of, if children ask for specifics, if there's something that they want to do, they actually come in and they will start to do that. And I know Geraldine is the Scratch coordinator, and she's really eager and excited about all of the Scratch, and she gets loads of stuff together. And I suppose the other thing is we did some training from Leash Partnership on training the mentors in Scratch development, and their homework was each person had to develop a little project to bring back and present to the kids. And then the kids take that and change it around and then present it back. So you've constantly got that going. There is that coolness about, like the projects and sharing them with each other and who's going to do this and that and getting the sounds and the animation, all of that. So the classes are fun. And I suppose we try to stick with the be cool aspect of Coder Dojo, and yet keeping it organised to an extent, because parents are in there as well. Parents have to stay with their young people.
You mentioned there that you want to possibly open up to the older group. What other plans have you got for the future? Where do you see this in 6 months' time or 6 years' time? Can it change? What way do you think about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, how will it grow? I'm not quite sure. These things just have a life of their own and they develop in their own way very organically. We have 28 mentors on the books at the moment, and there's over 100 kids and 30 on the waiting list. So it is something that's going to continue, and I couldn't tell you in 6 years' time what it's going to look like.
But we are going to be entering competitions and so forth, because the young people are at a level now where they actually want to show others how to do it. And these would have been, a lot of the children that we're dealing with would have been doing coding in their bedrooms and stuff, very solitary, and now they're socialising with each other and sharing, and they're coming up with little projects together, and they're hoping to enter some competitions. I know there's one coming up over in June, that a Scratch competition that we're going to enter.
And they'll do a day out for that, so they'll hire a bus and go up, and then they're going to see the Norton Museum in the Science Gallery up in Trinity as well. So there's a lot. There's a lot of few plans in place.
There'll be lots of groups in the country that will be interested in setting up a Coder Dojo. You've obviously gotten very well with them the last while. Would you have any nuggets of advice for people that are interested in setting up a Coder Dojo in their area?
Just start.
Do it. It really is. It is saying, this is what we're going to do, putting the word out there. Although it's, it sounds like hard work, it really isn't if everybody plays their part in it, because the parents are there with them every Saturday. Would say, get the word out there, get them in, open the doors, tell them what Coder Dojo is about, encourage them to use it, do what one of our chief mentors does. Mark, he walks up and down the train, and if he finds somebody with a laptop, he asks them would they like to be a mentor. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Ask, and it will happen. But for me, looking at it now from where I was terrified of it happening and 20 people turned up and I wasn't sure and we were sharing the fear here, and now to walk around the school, you know, where they are, and the energy and the commitment, and to watch all of these young people voluntarily in a school on a Saturday morning for 2 hours and actually whinging when we tell them it's time to go.
You're trying to kick them out at 1:45 saying you have to go now.
And they actually don't even like the breaks, the summer breaks, because. But actually one of the things in the future we're looking at too is the library has given us a space that when we're not actually meeting up, that they can come in and they can code and stuff like that.
And then in the summer as well, we have another cyber summer camp planned, and that went quite well last year as well. And that's a nice
cryptography and robotics.
It was good fun.
Did you enjoy the experience of setting it up?
Yes. Absolutely. It was terrifying in the beginning, but it actually that once you just open the doors, it does fall into place. You know, and just to let people do what they're good at is the other thing, you know, because there are people that really like just to do the coding. So, you know, don't be giving them fundraising jobs or don't be giving them admin jobs. Let them do what they like doing, and then
what they're good at, and give them the ease them away from the stuff that they're really not interested in and don't like.
Which makes sense.
Let them do what they're good at.
That's great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for this partnership.